We are live on the red carpet.
Welcome to Hebsy on Sports, episode 248. Everyone, the podcast is about to begin shortly. This is the red carpet show where we talk to the guests, nominees, as they step out of their limousines onto the red carpet and into the studio. We should have one day.
Like a real red carpet?
Well, I'll give you an example. Years ago, I had, I have a company called Sports Fantasies Unlimited, which the idea years ago was to provide a fake play-by-play or commentary about an average person doing something extraordinary in sports. For example, we would get golfers. People would say, oh, my father's going to be 70 and he loves golf. Could you have him beat Arnold Palmer in the Masters or Tiger Woods or whatever the era was? And I would put this tape together with sound effects and made it sound like, here's Mike Boone on the 18th hole, birds chirping and whack, the sound of the golf club hitting the ball. And it's in the hole for a hole in one, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people would be listening to this at a party. Ostensibly, the idea was you present this to the as a gift to whoever's birthday it is in front of other people. You play this. Everybody goes, oh my God, that's fantastic. The person who gave the gift feels great because everyone's going up to them going, what a terrific gift. How did you get Mark Hebscher to do the voice and all the sound effects? It sounds so real. So that was the idea of Sports Fantasies Unlimited. This is well before fantasy football or those expressions, fantasy sports.
Right.
Long time ago. And then, of course, back in those days, it wasn't so easy to mix, 3 or 4 tracks together with voice, with chirping sound effects, with a crowd loop, which I did in my home studio. Anyway, part of this was people came to me and said, could you do video? And video was just becoming not even popular, just part of, hey, let's get a camera and record this. And so my idea was you have let's say it's a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah or a sweet 16 or an event at somewhere where people are showing up. And what you do is, all we did was we got a couple of video cameras. I stood there with a tuxedo and a microphone, and every single person that got out of a car, I'm like, hi, you're here for, and whatever. Nice. Cheryl's bat mitzvah, what kind of gift did you give her? What are you wearing? Like stuff like that.
Right.
These kids were like, I don't know. Well, tell me, what do you think of Cheryl? What's your most fondest memory? And you're sort of, we set it up like it was a red carpet, except we're kind of blitzing these kids. They didn't know what to expect. They show up and there's an actual red carpet and there's lights and cameras and a guy with a tuxedo with a microphone. And the people loved it.
Right.
What a great idea, right?
Yeah.
But it was expensive and time consuming, and I had other jobs. But I was thinking now is a good time to sort of bring something like that back. It's so much easier to do it. It looks real. It would be like, baseball broadcasters sitting in their homes and you believing that they're actually at the ball game.
Right.
That's the way we are nowadays. I'm watching the tennis the other day and I'm thinking, is that commentator sitting courtside watching this live? Or are they just watching it off a monitor somewhere?
Right.
And the answer is most likely they're watching it off a monitor somewhere, unless you actually see them there. And any good producer is going to make sure that if their hosts are on site, you're going to have a shot of them. There they are. If not, you don't even show them on camera. They're sitting in a studio somewhere.
Right.
But this show, as you can see,
I was going to say,
we're doing this live.
For the record, where exactly are you right now?
Who, me?
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh,
hold on. No.
Let's see. Hebsy on Sports is live. Join Hebsy. Beautiful.
All right. Yeah. Retweet that sucker before we start the show. I love how the first people on the YouTube are like the people furthest away from us. It would be like, I see Wayne is in Lethbridge, Alberta, and you guys.
Well, they don't get stuff like this in Lethbridge. I can tell you this right now. I've been to Lethbridge before. And the only good thing about Lethbridge is the road leading out of town. No, I'm kidding. But it's true. We take for granted because we're from the big city. But when you go to small towns, well, I think I mentioned to you the first time we went to Ottawa, which to us was a small town from Toronto, me and Taddy.
Sure.
We could not believe the response we got from people. Why would you guys watch a TV show from Toronto?
Right.
And they're like, you don't understand. The stuff here is shit. You guys are great. You're from Toronto, big city. You got the Jays, you got the Leafs, you got the Argos, we didn't know Raptors back in those days.
Sure.
But still, you're the big city. And so the smaller the town, proportionally speaking, the more of a big deal this is. By the way, do me a favor. Take the Manscaped thing out. Take it away.
All right.
Throw it away. Get rid of it. We're done.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'll save that for the podcast, that story.
Wow. I
and you know,
don't even know this
funeral
story.
there. I know it's one of your sponsors, but could you cover that up?
Okay, wait, hold on. We need a...
Come up with something, please. Or take it down for this show. I know you do a lot of shows, but yeah, you're going to have to do something about funeral because it's just going to turn people off. With no offense to Ridley Funeral Home, a fine, fine organization, pillars of the community since 1927, but not the Hebsy on Sports community. I'm sorry.
Pillars of the community.
I said pillars.
Oh, yeah, no, my headphones were off, so I just heard the end. Okay.
What album covers that?
Tom Wilson's Mohawk art.
Tom Wilson. Beautiful. All right. We'll give Tom Wilson a push. That's good. I like Tom. Are we ready to start?
I don't know if I want to work with the person who doesn't like Tom. Like, I feel like that's, you better like Tom.
Are you kidding? I love Tom.
Hold on. Doug Flutie's head fell. I got to hold on here. By the way, also, when I was talking about all these out west people, next, of course, Dale Cadeau is also first on, and he's in BC.
But he's from Ontario. He's a transplant. He doesn't admit to people out there that he's from Ontario. I'm sure Gene doesn't walk around Vancouver going, hey, by the way, I'm from Ontario, from Toronto. They go, get the fuck out of here, you motherfuckers. We hate you. Because they do. They really hate people from Toronto. They just do. Which is unfair.
Well, we'll start the show, but I've lost Doug Flutie's head.
I don't understand what you're saying.
It's a bobblehead of Doug Flutie.
I don't care.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I know. I'm going to start.
You may as well tell me that your daughter pooped her pants. Although she's
too old.
She's a teenager now, isn't she? The young one.
Oh, like the young one? Yeah, almost.
She's a soccer star.
She scored a goal yesterday. So
another one.
Yeah, that's 2 now. She has 2 this season. Okay, I know. And she gets ice cream every time she does it. So it's like that's all she cares about. Yeah, like she gets an ice cream cone. I don't know, some silly.
So her motivation for scoring is not because she wants to score and win and help her team. It's for ice cream.
Correct.
Okay.
Angela's in Ottawa. I didn't know Angela was in Ottawa. She diehard Toronto sports fan. Okay,
let's see. In Toronto, they got lots of other things to do. In some of these other places, it's like, holy cow, when's Hebsy going to start? My God, it's been 9:22 already. Let's go.
All right. Recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Can't wait to get out there on Sunday for a round of golf with my girlfriend and my 2 boys.
Ooh, nice.
The ones I taught to play golf when they were just little, still in diapers. Always a good time at Crosswinds, whether you're with family, friends, whoever, even if you meet up with strangers. You'd be surprised how friendly strangers can be on the golf course. Crosswinds also offers beautiful views of the Niagara Escarpment. No matter where you are on the golf course, you can look up and see the splendor and majesty of Rattlesnake Point or Mount Nemo off in the distance. Absolutely beautiful. The course is always in tip-top shape, and the people at Crosswinds are always there to tend to your needs. You'd think you're at a private golf club, but no, it's public and very reasonably priced. So go check it out for yourself. Go to crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time online now. And don't forget to tell them that Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, can we start the podcast? Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 248. That's a big number. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Great to have you along. Mark Hebscher here in Little Italy, and over there in New Toronto is Doug Flutie. Wait, what happened to Doug Flutie's head?
I honestly have no idea. It fell off. It rolled on the floor, and I cannot find it.
All right. Well, don't be looking for it now. That's Toronto Mike, by the way, keeper of the Doug Flutie bobblehead. He's at the mothership, back looking refreshed and relaxed after a well-deserved holiday. We're all refreshed and we're, all ready to talk about the fortunes of the Toronto Blue Jays as they get set to host the Oakland A's, the Oakland Athletics,
right?
As Early Wynn used to say, the Athletics, for a huge 3-game series. And make no mistake, they need a sweep. 2 out of 3, not going to be good enough. Sweep the A's, let's get going. Meanwhile, Buck Martinez is not the only baseball broadcaster who refuses to get vaccinated. And one baseball executive even quit his job rather than get the jab. Quitting my job. I don't want to get the jab. Wow. In tennis, lots of Canadian content still alive at the U.S. Open as Chapo, Felix, Bianca, and Layla Annie continue to roll. A disappointing result for Canada at the Soccer World Cup qualifying for CONCACAF, but we're still gloating about Canada's win over the Americans in women's hockey. Yes, sirree. We beat the Americans, and that's all that matters. Am I right?
We got to talk about that. We got to talk about that.
Well, why do you think I teased it? Are you still on holidays? Did you hear what Mike just said, folks? We got to talk about that. What did I just say we were going to talk about? My God. In golf, you cannot call Bryson DeChambeau Brooksie anymore because you might hurt his feelings. You could get kicked off the golf course. That would be ridiculous. You should be able to call anybody any name you want as long as it's not one of those words. But Brooksie does not fall into that category. Hey, Brooksie. Should fans have to be quiet in sports like golf and tennis or any sport for that matter? Should they have to be quiet? All that and more coming up on this edition of the show. But first, let's say hello again to Toronto Mike.
Hebsy, man, how the heck are you doing? It was great to see you in the flesh on Friday because we don't see each other in the flesh that often. That sounds dirty.
I apologize for leaving early.
No, I was honored you
were
there.
And I'll tell you why. Because the last event you had there was a much more mingling event. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Where people could go up to other people and say, hey, how's it going? Whatever. Right. But unfortunately, because of seating restrictions and COVID and all that, we kind of, nobody could get as close to others as we wanted to because they were scrambling for seats and you couldn't put another chair up there. And
I tried though.
So I kind of felt bad that I didn't get a chance to say hello off air and mingle and that type of thing. And my girlfriend as well, kind of, it was like, it was nice, but I really never got to meet Mike.
You know what? That wasn't an event for that. You're right. We had a couple recently, which
it's a different type of event.
We had a post party, after party.
I saw that, but that was late.
It was late.
And it's hard
to
ask someone to stay for, 2.5 hours outside and not not get a chance to mingle. And I don't know if you're aware, but people who were there listening to the podcast that were far enough away were actually sort of sometimes having little conversations amongst each other.
Sure.
And that's hard to do. It's hard to maintain the audience's attention for a long period of time unless it's just, so great and whatever. And it was a very good podcast. I actually listened to it afterwards, the actual podcast.
You wanted to hear what the controversy was about.
I didn't know there was any controversy. Anyway, sorry that I didn't get a chance to stay and say hello and all that. But for your next event, which will be more like a cocktail party, I expect.
Well, I guess
with bands and comedians and
I would like
jugglers
this pandemic to end so we can get back to a true normal. It was awesome that you were there and I got you on the mic, which was great. And I did ask your lady friend if she wanted to jump on the mic, and she was a bit mic shy.
She just wanted to kick you in the nuts. She just was ready to she was enraged. She could not believe that she was being called out in front of all those people, none of whom she had ever met before, and so she won't be listening to your podcast anymore. I'm kidding.
You're kidding. I know.
She was considering coming up there and telling the whole story.
Oh man, next time I'm next time. Yeah, next time.
Okay, so now before we begin the actual sports portion of this, I have to tell you what happened to me this week. Got a call yesterday, day before the show. Not a call. I've never met this person or actually spoken to this person. This was an email from our former sponsor of ours, who shall remain nameless, our sponsor for the summer, basically saying, it was a Dear Hebsy letter.
Oh.
That was it. It was lovely and nice, but we're going to move on. I'm not going to get into the details, but apparently they didn't sell enough of these things, and these people are impatient. Right? We got the numbers. They're not up to par. You didn't make your quota. That's it. We're done. Okay. All right.
They're there for a good time, not a long time.
I got it. That's fine. No problems. No hard feelings at all. No hard feelings at all. We got some product. Hopefully they got their money's worth. They didn't make the sales. Somebody got fired, I know, because of this. It was like, you fucking told us that Hebsher was going to be selling, tons of these things. He's got all kinds of friends. They've got hair in unwanted places. It's the right, demographic. And then, I'm pretty sure this dude got fired because they went to, well, who the fuck is this guy? Where are all the sales?
No,
we're not selling enough of these. And I'm saying, look, it's a weird year. People go on holidays. People up here at the cottage are not as likely to go online. Maybe they don't have an internet connection, whatever it is, to order, blah, 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 blah. And also you can't ship, you're not going to ship it to their cottage. I don't know too many people. There are some, but too many people are up at the cottage saying, yeah, I'm expecting a couple more deliveries today from, whoever you get deliveries from, Amazon or whoever. So It's not the same. I said, you got to wait until people are back into their routines. You deliver stuff to their homes. They're used to it.
Right.
This guy's like, no, sorry, that's the way it is, back and forth. I said, fine.
Well, screw that.
So that's it. So one less sponsor. So by the way, if you want to sponsor, you're interested in sponsoring on Hebsy on Sports, we've got openings.
Yeah, hit us up. That's a good point. Hit us up and chat with Hebsy. Great opportunities exist here. And there's a vibrant fan base, a lot of downloads of the podcast. People join us live from as far away as British Columbia. And honestly, what a great opportunity. Hit up Hebsy. There's an opening.
Okay, so now and thank you, Mike. And just to let you know, and this is true, how many of those, or how many orders do you think in the 2 months, July and August, that they were with us, how many of them do you think we saw that
you have
came
the
directly
number?
from us with the promo code Hebsy, something like that? How many do you think?
Well, do you have the number before I guess?
I do.
Okay.
And this is the number they gave me to say it wasn't enough.
I don't even know where to guess of that. I would 20?
190.
What?
Yeah. Not enough.
190 conversions.
Apparently they wanted to sell 100 per month, which is like 3 a day. And we didn't meet the quota. I'm like, wow, man. Jeez,
wow.
You guys are tough. Okay.
So this tells other potential advertisers
190 we saw. 190 times people
honestly,
typed in the word.
That's
the
amazing.
Code Hebsy, sent the credit card, got the delivery, liked the product. And still they said, thanks for coming out. Thanks. Goodbye.
Well, that just tells the next potential sponsor.
Mike,
I have long said this. I've long thought that the Jesse and Jean podcast should be a sponsor of Hebsy on Sports.
I agree. I think we should start sponsoring other sponsors. I think podcasts should start sponsoring other podcasts. I think if you like someone's podcast and they say, look, if people listen to this podcast, and I said, you got to listen to Toronto Mike, and they do, and they go, wow, that's great. And vice versa. I was on the Humble and Fred podcast the other day. They talk to us. You need to do that. That's synergy, being a part of a podcast community.
That's what we're doing here, Hebsy. We're part of the TMDS network here. It's beautiful.
But these guys, the other guys, they're from the States. They don't know from us. They don't know. It's another number to them.
Right.
They're not invested. I would have to send them tapes.
Oh, here's an idea.
That we had, promoted the product.
If there's anyone there who has a jingle, maybe a jingle for Property in the Six, hit me up. We have an opportunity here for you.
Okay. So here's the other one now. So that's the story there. Now, locally, I go to my dentist. This was my schedule on Wednesday, Mike, and you helped because you put me on the Humble and Fred show.
Yes.
So I get up about 7. At 8:15, I'm on live with Humble and Fred. We're on for, 15, 20 minutes.
And you were fantastic. You were great.
It was great. Lots of fun. So that's 8:15. Now at 9:45, I got a dentist appointment. So I got to immediately, as soon as I'm done with Humble and Fred, get up, off to the subway, get to my dentist, which is, 25, 30 minutes away.
Okay.
For my 9:45 appointment to put the crown back on. I got a temporary crown. I show up. Are you James? No, I'm Mark. Mark. We don't Mark. I go, look, I got a 9:45. You called me yesterday to confirm the appointment. Well, I didn't call. Well, someone from your office called. Say, have a seat, please. I'm sure we can work something out. Work something out. This is not good. The manager comes. I'm very sorry. We tried to get in touch with you to tell you that we have to cancel the appointment because your crown is not in yet. I said, so what was the problem? You know how to get in touch with me. You got all my contacts. Well, we called and we didn't get a response. And I said, did you leave a message? Did you text me a message? You could have texted me, emailed me, left me the message. Don't come in tomorrow. Whatever you do, Mark, don't come in at 9:45 in the morning because the crown's not in. That's all you had to do. Now I'm telling her this, just her and I in the office. There's nobody else around. And I'm raising my voice to say, I have an extremely busy day today. I said to her, what's your cancellation policy? Like if someone has an appointment and doesn't show, what happens? She goes, well, they get charged, whatever, they get charged on the credit card. I go, great. I said, you didn't call me to cancel. You didn't get in touch with me. You owe me $300 because I had an engagement, a voiceover that I could have done.
Wow.
But I had the dentist appointment. You let me know in advance. I say, yeah, I can do the voiceover. That's $300. She's got this look in her eyes like, oh, we don't do that. I'm going, well, guess what? You're going to do $300 worth of work okay, and not charge me
Wow.
for it. And she said, well, that's not our policy. I said, I'm going to take my business elsewhere.
Wow.
If you can't, and it's quite simple. I said to her, if you don't have the wherewithal, the skills as an office manager to ensure that a customer doesn't show up and ruin their day, you allow them to show up and then say, oh, we're sorry, then you're not sorry. And this is a person that goes, oh, sorry. They throw sorries around like they're, like pennies.
Right.
So no, you're not sorry. If you were sorry, you'd say, Mr. Ebsher, we apologize. We're going to rectify this situation, and here's how we're going to do it. We are going to make sure that next time there's an appointment, that everything's all set. And because we feel so bad and we're so sorry that this happened to you, we're going to reimburse you. We're going to, the work that we do, we're not going to charge you. Now, wouldn't that be a great way to do business? But instead, you just say, oh, I'm sorry. And then she says she's got the gall to say to me, would you like to reschedule now?
Of course.
And I said, no, I want to have it now. That's why I pushed my day. And then I said to her, this is my day.
Yeah.
And I literally pulled out my schedule. I was on Humble and Fred this morning at 8:15. Finished that rush to get here in pretty much rush hour traffic on the subway. Okay. I got a 12:30 with Bill King because I'm recording something for his radio show.
Nice.
I got a 2 p.m. with Stu Stone.
Wow.
To discuss 2 projects.
All my friends.
Okay. I got a 4:30 voiceover to finish off some work I've done for an audiobook. At 5 o'clock, my girlfriend's coming. And at 6 o'clock, my son's coming for dinner. That's my day.
Right.
You just fucked up the first part of it.
Wow. Wow.
And then I left.
Okay, Hebsy, quick, I interrupt. This is very Curb Your Enthusiasm. This is a Larry David move, right?
Who?
This is the Don't play that game.
This is my day.
Yeah.
Wait. It gets better.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So now it's 9:45, 9:47 in the morning, and I don't have a dentist appointment, and I don't have anything until 12:30. Bill King. I thought I'd be sitting in the dentist chair. So I go, there's a perfect opportunity to go get my hair cut.
Okay.
So I go to the barber. And I go to the same barber, the same guys around the corner from, I'm not going to mention the name, good guy. They're all good guys there, right?
But why not mention the name?
No, I'm not going to mention it.
Gino.
So anyway, at the very end of when he's finished with the haircut, he decides that he's going to get into a discussion. Oh, there's something on CP24 on the TV that he hears about masking and anti-maskers and all that. And he says, out of the blue, he says, what would you do if I told you that I wasn't vaccinated?
Wow.
And I just stopped and I said, I would be very upset with you that you didn't declare this.
Right.
Even though you're wearing a mask, you're pretty close to me. And
you're indoors.
And he said, well, I'm not vaccinated.
Wow.
And I said, all right. I said, listen. And he just was almost done. I said, just finish up and I'm out.
Wow.
He goes, but I want to explain something to you. I said, no.
Right.
Not interested in listening to anything else you have to say.
Wow.
Right. I left the money on the counter and I left.
What? Oh, you did pay though. I thought you were going to like.
Oh, of course. No, I paid him but
sure.
Not going to go in there again. And I was surprised at my reaction, but at the same time went, should he have let me know? Should I have asked? Is this where we're at? Is this where we're at, where I go and I say, by the way, I have to ask you,
right?
Are you vaccinated?
Well, I've been asking guests and stuff.
Right. Now, I could have gone to the soccer last night, but I declined because I don't know. Oh, and I still got to go indoors, sort of, to go to the bathroom. There are enclosed spaces.
For a little bit if you got to go to the bathroom.
Man, and some of these anti-vaxxers, they're like almost spitting in your face. They're like, look at me without a mask, right up in your face.
Right.
Anyway, that's my dentist and barber story.
I think one of the projects I hope you talked about with the great Stu Stone is like a documentary series where like a cameraman just follows you around, because this is a reality show I want to watch. That was amazing. What a day. Humble and Fred. And by the way, between the Humble and Fred, the Bill King, and then the Stu Stone, that was quite the day of FOTM engagements. Well done.
Oh, and by the way, I cooked a fantastic rib dinner.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of guy I am.
Nice.
Okay. So you wanted meaningful baseball in September, did you?
Yes.
Well, guess what? You got it. It's meaningful. Every game, every inning, every at-bat, every pitch. Every time they cut over to Charlie Montoyo in the dugout, he's got his finger on his nose, his finger on his ear. He's there. Everybody's got signaling. The Blue Jays are barely alive. I think I mentioned this before. They're not on life support, but whatever degree, serious, critical condition, whatever, use your favorite hospital condition. They are, but they're also masters of their own destiny this weekend. They get the Oakland A's, one of the 3 teams ahead of them that they got to take down in order to secure that elusive wild card spot in the American League. It's not impossible, but highly unlikely, especially when you consider that their most expensive player, their most delicate player, a China doll, be careful, George Springer. He can't stay healthy. Imagine where this team would be if George Springer only missed half the games that he missed this year. Let's just say, no, wait, imagine if he played every game, center field. Where would this team be? You know where they'd be. They'd be in a playoff position right now. Am I right?
I think
gosh
you're bang
sakes,
on.
if it's not, it's a tweak here. It's a setback there. It's a setback. It's a precautionary setback for his knee, his ankle, his quad, his Achilles. I don't know, man. For gosh sakes, they're afraid to play him in the outfield because he might run into another wall or something. And by the way, I went on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I got about 20 shots of George Springer in his career running into walls. Holy shit. He's a daredevil out there. Right. He wants to make every catch. It's great, but you got to stay healthy. You're not helping the team. And even the other day, he got a second, he's going in for a third, and you could see him go like that. You're like, shit, not again. And everybody just, is this the way it's going to be with George Springer for the rest of his career? Is this it? We're going to be afraid of having him run the bases. He might re-injure one of the many body parts he's already hurt. I can't even keep up. It's like that show. Oh, that game, Operation. Remember that game?
Of course.
Take out a knee, take out an ankle.
Still right? Popular.
That's George Springer. Let's hope that after this year, regardless of what happens to the Jays, the injuries are out of the way. He's fully 100% rehabbed. He'll never tweak anything again. Go on to set the record for the most consecutive games played. Let's hope. Okay? From your mouth to God's ears, Hebsy. And with George in and out of the lineup, the Jays offense has been anemic. Would that be a good word? Would it?
That's a good word, buddy.
All right. It's okay if you're playing Baltimore or Detroit. Geez, Mike, you, me, and 7 friends could probably put up a good game against Baltimore. But now you got the A's, who present a much bigger problem. First of all, they got pretty good pitching. Secondly, they're fighting for the same playoff spot as the Jays are, and they're ahead of them by 3 games. Toronto currently 5 games out of the wild card spot, and more importantly, they got to jump Seattle, Oakland, and Boston to get there. And they can start with a win tonight as Rookie of the Year candidate Alek Manoah takes on Sean Manaea. Wait a minute. Manoah against Manaea. Come on. That's a pitching matchup. That's a marquee matchup tonight. Manoah, Manaea, Jays, A's. I think we should put Z's on the end of each of these names. I think Jays should be Jayz.
Oh, no.
That's like Jays, not James B. Jays, and A's should be A-Z. A-Z, not A apostrophe S or how do you spell A's? By the way, is it A apostrophe S or just a big A and a small S?
Oh, I think it's.
Is there apostrophe there?
I think there's an apostrophe in there.
Okay, why? It stands for athletics. Where's the apostrophe?
I think when it becomes like a one letter
short form
with one letter, I think there's a grammar rule where you can introduce the apostrophe.
Looks goofy. It does, doesn't it? I mean, every other team that ends with S, Astros, Jays, there's no apostrophe.
I will say, as a kid, I always liked the A's, the logo and jersey. As a kid, I remember really liking the A's.
Right.
Anyway,
the only apostrophe I ever liked was the Frank Zappa album, Apostrophe.
Nice.
Apostrophe is pretty useless. Anyway, so the Jays have to sweep the A's, and if Cleveland can take a couple games from the Red Sox, and if Seattle can lose a couple to the Arizona Diamondbacks, then we'll have something to talk about after the weekend. But time's running out. 30 games to go. And according to Fangraphs, the Jays have an 8.6 chance of playing in the postseason. The Red Sox are 81.3%. The A's are currently 17.7%. I'm sure if you wanted to make a bet on the Jays making the playoffs, you could get some pretty good odds.
Yeah, but we don't recommend that. I don't know. It sounds like a sucker's bet. Sounds like too many teams to leapfrog. If it was the one team, if you're just chasing the A's, I'd get all jazzed up and get up. But now it's like I got to keep things in check here.
And you notice that nobody has come up with the scenario where the Jays have to do this win this many games, and the teams they're chasing have to go this. Like no one's done that because it's almost impossible. Because even if the Red Sox, A's, and Seattle all played 500, each of them played 500 down the stretch, what would the Jays have to do? And what are the possibilities of all three of them playing 500 ball? By looking at their strength of schedule and all that. This is where the analytics people go really deep down a rabbit hole, just for that little scintilla of sunlight saying, there's still a chance. They can do it.
8%
Here's
chance.
how they can do it. The Mariners all die in a plane crash.
Oh, no.
The Red Sox all get COVID. And Oakland, drink some water that was, had ptomaine poison in it. That and the Jays leapfrog those three. It's like ridiculous. I'm sorry to have gone so far off the rails, but it's true. It's on, like, come on, what's got to happen, really?
Well, we got to start. We got to sweep the A's, right? This is non-negotiable.
We got to sweep the A's. We don't sweep the A's. We're not. We have to sweep them and show people that you can get a run, that they maybe can win 10 in a row, 12 of 14, and all the other teams just go for a complete shit. All right. Meanwhile, the Washington Nationals are parting ways with longtime Vice President Bob Boone, who chose to resign rather than comply with the team's COVID-19 vaccination requirements.
Wow.
You're not going to make me get the vaccine. I'm going to quit.
Wow.
All right. It's the first such staffing change in Major League Baseball because of COVID, although many have suggested that Boone was going to retire anyway or was going to get kicked out, and he just wanted to go down swinging. In addition, Major League Baseball has announced that former pitchers Al Leiter and John Smoltz refused to get vaccinated and therefore will not be allowed to broadcast their games from Major League Baseball headquarters in Secaucus, New Jersey. In order to get into the building, you must be fully vaccinated. So they will have to remain at home and do the broadcast from there. Now, Mike, this is becoming quite the issue. I don't know if you're aware, but months ago, I think, there was a report that Buck Martinez wasn't coming to Toronto to do Blue Jay games because he wasn't fully vaccinated. And Pat Tabler, who did come to Toronto for that opening series against Kansas City, was fully vaccinated.
Yes.
And man, other baseball people and broadcasters in other sports and just people in general are not vaccinated and have no issues at all without being back. Oh, fine. So I can't travel there. Okay, fine. I'll have to quit. That's fine. I'm not going to do it. Okay.
Interesting.
I would say a huge break here for Pat Tabler. Huge. Buck can't do the games. Pat do the games. In fact, if I don't hear Buck again, I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to hear
with
his
you, man.
Commentary from Florida. What's he going to tell me from Florida? Pat at least is here. He was around the batting cage on the weekend, talking to players, talking to managers.
On this subject, Mark, yesterday evening, I had Mark Weisblot in my backyard to talk about
Mark
things.
Weisblot.
The great 1236 zone. And
not only that. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?
Well, CJN. I know he's and he used to be at iWeekly. He's a big deal.
Big man.
So I spent 2.5 hours with him last night, drinking Great Lakes and talking about everything, including Buck Martinez and this vaccination story. And what I found curious, and I was telling him yesterday, is this story has been out there for a while, but why has there been zero mainstream media chatter about this? Like, why will no one...
What would you expect from today's
I would
media?
expect
and
either...
By the way, can you fix the Tom Wilson album cover there? Thank you.
Okay. I would expect that, I don't know, let's say I'll randomly pick somebody. Steve Simmons at the Toronto Sun will either write the article to say, I chatted with Buck, he's fully vaxxed, he just doesn't want to travel. Or he'd write... It's interesting that I talked to Buck and Buck's not vaccinated. Like there would be something somewhere, but there's nothing anywhere. Even though if you Google this and I watched,
but I wouldn't want that, Mike.
Tell me why.
Why would I want Steve Simmons putting a story out there that people are going to go, that's not true. It's Simmons. Some bullshit.
Well,
like
true
Phil
is
Kessel
true.
shit
Like it doesn't
that.
matter who reports it. Like true is true. Like if it's true, regardless of who reports it.
But are you honestly surprised that nobody from any of the broadcast entities has said, hey, let's get to the bottom of this story?
Doug Smith wrote something in the Star like last week, I think, and it was about
Doug Smith.
Well, but he did write. He still had a big forum. It's called the Toronto Star, and he did write about.
Did he credit me?
No, but he didn't mention vaccination at all. He just said it sucks that that Buck's not at the Dome. Like he said, it sucks that Buck is doing it from home, but he never went that extra step to tell us why Buck is at home.
No, jeez, maybe he didn't believe the source.
Anyway,
you go on believing what you want to believe. Prove me wrong. You know as well as I do, folks, that this is it's a story.
Yeah,
it's meaningful.
Right.
That to have the audacity, the unmitigated audacity, as the Jays have and Rogers has, to allow this to continue while there are many other options, having people at the actual ballpark,
right,
and continue this ruse, this charade of having someone not on site without the insight that you expect from an announcer of that caliber, you're just doing a terrible disservice. You're lying to the fans, making them believe that Buck has some information that others don't, when in fact he's too far away from to really comment or really to be respected for his comments, because he can't back them up with the knowledge, with the inside knowledge, with the, well, I talked to so-and-so the other day. You know, Dan was on the field. Ben Wagner's on the field. Hazel's on the field. Arash is on the field. Joe Siddle's on the field. Jamie, they're there.
right.
Anyway.
Right. Well, you know, I feel like Woodward and Bernstein here, and Deep Throat Gene Velitis points out that Buck Martinez is likely in cahoots with your barber. So let's follow this story.
Yeah.
Follow the money, as they say.
In fact, I think a story on my barber would be as good a story as one on Buck. I'm surprised that Doug Smith hasn't gone after, what's the real story with barbers? Do they wait to tell you afterwards that they're not vaccinated?
I know you're
Should
a big
they have
Doug
a sign
Smith
saying
fan.
I am not vaccinated, warning? Should they say no entry into this business without knowing that the proprietor is unvaccinated? How about that?
Right.
Anyway, let's see how the Canadians are doing in the world of sports. Mike?
Okay, let's do it.
Last night at BMO Field, our men's soccer team hosted Honduras. You couldn't tell me where Honduras is. You couldn't name me a city in Honduras. I know people that never heard of Honduras before, but that's who Canada played in the first of 14 games against CONCACAF opponents to determine who gets to go to World Cup 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, the U.S., Mexico, Jamaica, Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, and Honduras are in the group, but only 3 will advance, and the 4th team can get in via the back door. Get in touch with your favorite James Sharman, whoever, to explain that whole scenario. But anyway, the Canadians drew 1-1 with Honduras, with the Hondurans. And I watched the game, and I have to tell you that when Honduras scored, first of all, which was the wildest thing because they did it on a penalty kick, a terrible penalty by Canada. But the guy who scored the goal on the penalty kick, Alexander Lopez, as soon as he kicked the ball into the net, he went down like he was shot, some kind of a leg injury, and they carried him off the field on a stretcher. Yeah, after he scored the first goal.
Wow.
On the penalty kick. I thought, this is bizarre. This Alexander Lopez, he scores, and then, and you're thinking, he's, because they're all celebrating with him.
Right.
But no, he had like pulled a hammy, or I don't know what the hell happened, and they carted him off, man.
Wow.
Carted him off. Now, if I'm sitting in the stands, I'm going wild. If I'm a Canadian fan, I'm out of my mind, screaming, yelling. But I found the Canadian fans to be somewhat subdued. And I was disappointed in the television coverage because when the Hondurans scored, I heard, and I know everyone else did, a lot of people cheering.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of cheers when Honduras scored. Not one cutaway to the crowd showing the Honduran fans. Now, come on. I get it, but come on, Shelby. I hear this cheering, and I'm like, well, where's that coming from? Why wouldn't you show a shot of the cluster of fans? I'm sure they're all sitting together wearing Honduran colors or whatever. Come on. That bothered me. As someone who worked in television, I know what TV directors think. I know what producers think sometimes. They try to do things different. I'm going to talk about how horrible it is in tennis, the crowd shots and the nonsense there. But in this particular case, when you hear something that's going on, you have to reference it to your audience. Where's that sound coming from? Instead, the announcers are like, they're not even acknowledging it. Like Gareth Wheeler and, what's his name? I can see him.
Caldwell?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, also the guy who's on the panel.
Christian Jack?
Younger guy. Played for us. I can't think of his name. That's terrible. I apologize. I can see him. Nice young fella. Good comp. But anyway, they didn't even reference. Not once did they go, the Honduran fans are making some noise here. Nothing. It was almost as if they said, listen, don't say anything about Honduras at all. Only Canada. And so that bothered me. But anyway, the game bothered me too. I thought the crowd was subdued. I would have. You can't turn the fans on and off. I get that the TFC fans are crazy for their team, sure, but can you expect them to be as crazy for Team Canada when they roll in? You would hope. We got some pretty good players, but still, this team isn't always together. They're off playing for other teams, that kind of thing. Whereas the Honduran team, I'm sure, spent a heck of a lot of time together. Anyway,
Terry Dunfield.
The match ended 1-1. I thought the crowd was somewhat subdued, especially when you compare what it's going to be like when they go to Tegucigalpa.
Nice.
Tegucigalpa, which is the capital of Honduras. I looked it up.
Hebsy, man.
1 million people, and the fans there are going to be fucking nuts.
Right. Oh, well, yeah. Get ready for
nuts.
That. Right. Dick Van Dickweed wants you to know it's Terry Dunfield. Is that the
That's it. Terry Dunfield. Thank you. And I apologize, Terry.
We're sorry. Terry's probably watching here. And
and you know what? They're doing the game, and I don't. It's not. No, they were on Sportsnet. The game was on Sportsnet, but normally they're on. I think it's called Soccer One or one of the channels that carries soccer.
Right.
The Canadian Soccer Channel, Soccer One, but anyway, whatever it is.
Hey,
and so I'm listening to this, and I'm used to hearing other soccer announcers. You know, Sanchez, Dyer, Harry Kane, Son. Instead, I'm getting sort of a running commentary while the match is going on. And rather than identifying the players who have got the ball or whatever, I'm kind of getting all kinds of a mishmash of here's how the playoff setup goes and sort of other stuff like that. And I'm not used to that. And I'm not familiar with listening to these play-by-play announcers. So it was a bit jarring because I'm learning about the team too. I know we've got Alphonso Davies. And I know we got Jonathan David, and I know, but I don't know enough about the Canadian national team. And in this particular case, I need to learn more from the announcers while the game is going on. There's the left back; he's from so and so, from Scarborough, and he played for whatever team. And you know, help me out here. I love soccer, I love Canada, but I'm new to this team.
Good point.
So enlighten me.
Good point. Good point. And just before we move on, Mike Kerr says good morning to you. Paul Hawkyard says good morning. Moose Grumpy said it was great to see you last Friday, Hebsy. Moose Grumpy's a big fan.
She was nice enough to, and bold enough too, because while your podcast was going on, it wasn't permissible to be, you know, not paying attention to the podcast. And she was nice enough to lean over because we were sort of outside the perimeter. There.
Right.
Like,
you couldn't get on the
good to see you. That kind of thing. So that was nice as well.
And Phil Parkinson says hello from St. Mary's. I just want to tell Phil, when I was driving home from the Pinery, which is on Lake Huron, I drove through St. Mary's. Beautiful. And Jean Velitis.
My sons were there on the weekend.
Oh, wow.
St. Mary's. Yeah, there was a wedding that they were a part of there. And it's a great town. I love the downtown there by the water. It's a really nice town.
Absolutely. And Chris Clark is checking in, and Angela is checking in from Ottawa. Brian Gerstein is here. And I want to say hi to Andrew Jeeves, and I want to say hello to Tyler Campbell. And KM is here, as he is every Friday. He's great comments here. And Jimbo Co, but I think the funniest is the one that told us about the name Terry Dunfield, because I love that I get to say hello to Dick Van Dickweed.
There you go, Dick Van Dickweed. Yeah. Dick Van Dyke. Did you know that Dick Van Dyke's real name is Penis Van Lesbian?
Mary Tyler Moore told that joke. I heard it. It's very
Forget it. All right, back to the soccer. So anyway, so listen, this CONCACAF qualifying for the World Cup, it's busy, man. They got to play 14 games, 13 more to go. Next one is Sunday. We go to listen to me. We go to Nashville.
Well, it is
Canada's national men's team goes to Nashville, Nissan Stadium, where we take on the United States. And by the way, the U.S. could do no better than a 0-0 draw with El Salvador yesterday in San Salvador, and the crowd was electric. Here come those Americans, those damn Yankees,
right
into San Salvador. Okay? 0-0.
Will you tell me when it's must win? Like, I just want to know, because I missed this match yesterday because of Wise Blot in the backyard. But
no, these aren't must win.
Like I don't even understand. Like, I know we need to win, but we tied. Is that bad? Like, we needed to get 3.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah, you at home, you want to win, especially against.
Oh, at home, right. Okay.
Against a country that you couldn't tell me. I could show you a map. 99% of the people would not know.
Well, you only hear about them when there's a hurricane or something, and there's a natural disaster.
Yeah, Honduras, man, come on. May as well be. What did Bill Murray say? May as well be Wisconsin. Hey, we're gonna go invade Czechoslovakia. It's like going into Wisconsin.
right, go Canada.
Anyway, so yeah, apparently quite the game yesterday in San Salvador. U.S. draws on the road, which a road draw is always good. And so they're going to be tough to beat the Americans on Sunday in Nashville. By the way, Mexico leads the group thanks to their 2-1 win over Jamaica. And Panama and Costa Rica drew 0-0. Okay. So Canada in decent shape with 1 point with 13 games to go.
Could be worse.
Could be raining. In tennis, the number 7 seed Denis Shapovalov was a straight sets winner in his U.S. Open match, second round match over Carballes Baena, the Spaniard, in the second round. U.S. Open. Chapo managed a 9-7 advantage in the first set tiebreaker, winning 7-6, 6-3, 6-0. Not 6-love, Mike, as I've heard so many people say. I'm sick of it. You only use the term love. This is a little lesson here.
Okay.
Just a little. You only use the term love in tennis when you're referencing the score in that particular game.
Oh.
15 love, 30 love, 40 love.
I didn't know that.
You don't reference it with the scores 6-3, 6-3, 6 love. No. The proper term for love is only the in-game score. It means 0 in the in-game score.
I had no idea until right now. Like, this is an education for me. I had no idea.
And by the way, and I'm not going to pull the names, a TSN commentator, when talking about the Arizona Coyotes Arena, okay, which is pronounced Gila River. It's spelled Gila, but as anyone knows, it's pronounced Gila, like Gila Monster, Gila River Arena, right? But no, the TSN commentator, Gila River Arena. And I'm like, come on.
But why not name
You're
names?
a TSN commentator. You don't say a word unless you know the proper pronunciation. It's really simple. You don't. By the way, the word is ignominious that I was trying to use a few episodes ago. I was going anonymous or whatever, ignominious. But anyway,
but Hebsy,
if you don't
why
know
is
how
it,
to say it, don't go on national television and mispronounce them.
Why is it that sometimes you'll name the names and sometimes you won't? Like, why not name this person who mispronounced that name?
Because I don't know who it was.
Oh, that's a good reason. Okay.
It's a disembodied voice on TSN. You see their face once every 15 minutes.
Yeah, you got to be sure about
that.
The
show, hi, it's so-and-so and so-and-so.
Okay, makes sense.
And then after that, I don't know whose voice that is because it's just been all voiceover. And if I knew, would I call them out? Maybe it depends. If I'm mad at them, I don't know.
Hey, so
should I call them out?
Yeah,
should I mention, if I knew the name of the person, should I say, all right, I'm going to shame you right now?
Well, you're the watchdog. Like, to me, you're the Canadian sports media watchdog.
Right. So it's up to TSN to get their shit together. So someone at TSN's going, somebody here screwed up. They said Gila instead of Gila on the air. Let's find out who that person was, and whatever appropriate response from TSN would be. They're not going to apologize, but at least if they say to this person, if you don't know how to pronounce it, don't say it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Don't be afraid.
Is that asking too much, Mike?
No, I don't think so. They're TSN, for God's sakes. They're not some guy in his basement. Yeah. Hey, although they may be in the basement. I'm hoping
that somebody, maybe even when this person said it, the producer at the time went, "Oh, you mispronounced it." And now that's going to run on a loop for the next 48 hours. That's the other thing. Right? I'm sure that at the end, the producer didn't say, okay, folks, we got to do the entire show over again because somebody said Gila instead of Gila.
Ninja edit. Hey, you know how we love, right? So love comes out of tennis, but where exactly is nil? Like nil is a soccer thing? Like
nil means 0 in
but only in soccer, right? Like, do you ever use nil in anything else?
Well, some people will, to be cute, but the only time I ever heard it was, soccer scores.
Right. Okay. So you don't use nil, and like you wouldn't say 6-0 when you're given the game score.
Well, I've heard people give hockey scores, 6 love, 6-0. I mean, just to be cute instead of saying nothing.
Right. Okay.
6-0, 6-0. Anyway.
All right.
I guess you could. All right. Back with the man now. 12th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime meets another Spaniard, 18th seed Roberto Bautista Agut in third round play tonight. And on the distaff side, Bianca Andreescu, the number 6 seed, looks like she's getting her groove back. Looked very healthy in her 6-4, 6-4 win over American Lauren Davis and gets an unseeded German opponent in the third round. Excuse my laziness. I didn't go and look up the German opponent. I don't think whoever it is going to be a problem for Bianca.
Oh, good.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's good news.
And if this German opponent beats Bianca, I will mention her name. Leila Annie Fernandez of Montreal, the lefty, gets the number 3 seed Naomi Osaka tonight in her third round match. I'm thinking it's on center court, maybe the stadium court. What are they? And I can't remember the names. The Louis Armstrong court, Billie Jean King court,
Arthur Ashe,
the Arthur Ashe court. That's the big one, right?
Right, I think so.
And there's other courts that are named after people. I can't remember.
The George Costanza court, where he had the
George Costanza court.
He got caught on the camera eating the.
Oh, and that's another thing. Please, on the tennis, please stop showing crowd shots of people who are not famous. Please. Last night, they kept having to say, the chair umpire kept having to say, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Because both the players, like Shapovalov and his opponent, are both like, come on, like, looking up and come on, we can't serve and all that. And this is sort of the same as in golf, where you can't, you've got to be perfectly quiet and still when the players are playing. You have to, you can't say a word. Right. Not when he throws the ball up, nothing. Right. And in golf, as he's about to swing, you can't say anything. Right. As soon as he hits it, of course, it's, go in the hole, you're the man, like all that shit, right? And so we've reached a point now where fans who aren't doing anything illegal, I guess if you could say, that they would be, prosecuted in court. But it's almost reached the point where it's, look, if you continue to abuse or bully these professional athletes, we're going to have to do something about it. And so in this case, in tennis, it's expected that the fans will take their seats and sit down when told by the chair umpire so the players can play. Right. Because God forbid I'm going for a forehand and in the corner of my eye, I see a couple of broads with women with beers, okay, that the camera has a shot of. And when the camera takes a shot, the commentators don't say anything. You leave it to the imagination of the viewers going, who are they? And they're coming in late. There's the culprits right there. So what'll happen is one of the players will like point up to the crowd. You'll hear the chair umpire go, ladies, not ladies and gentlemen. She's specifically pointing to 2 ladies that are coming down the aisleway carrying beers. And the chair umpire goes, ladies, please take your seats. And then immediately the camera, which by the way, this is the in-house feed. So everybody there can see this on the big screen. They show these 2 women. Each of them has a couple of beers. And they're standing there with the most shocked look on their face. And everybody in the crowd, it's New York, is going, sit down. Like, oh, come on, let's go. And I'm watching this on TV. Go, I don't need to see this shit. I want to watch the tennis. I want to see the reactions of the players after the point. I don't want these random shots of people in the stands. If they're famous people, okay. Oh, they're sliced alone. But if it's just somebody that's reacting, and usually the shots are very unflattering shots. You know what I mean? Like the cameraman's like 5 feet away and is looking up their nostrils or something like that. They're not even flattering shots. So do me a favor, TV producers and directors who do tennis. No more crowd shots unless it's somebody famous. Got it? No more. Wow. I don't want to see the coach using, he's got the same fucking look on his face. It cut back to him again. It's an advertisement for whoever the sponsor is for the tennis player when they show the coach. So please stop it. And by the way, there's a commentator during the Shapovalov match. And here's the other thing is you don't know who you're getting with commentators sometimes, right? You get what you get. And so for a few of the Canadian matches, there's a fellow named Mark Tessier who works for TSN as a commentator, and he does it by himself. So they've got, TSN has Mark Rowe there. He's at the US Open. He's doing the on-court interviews with the Canadian players after their victories. So he's been pretty busy, right? He's in probably the tennis center, and then they shuttle him out to whatever court the Canadians are playing at so that he's ready for the post-game interview. But the fellow that's doing the play-by-play of the match, Mark Tessier, I don't think is there. I think he's in a studio at TSN, and he's got the feed. And he's doing it by himself. And he's very good because he knows that he's speaking to a Canadian audience. Whereas yesterday, we get this putz, Leif Shiras. I don't know who the other guy was, a British guy, but this Leif Shiras who used to play was a mediocre player. And here he is going on, he's watching Shapovalov, and he's going on about how Canada is such a hockey country. And now as soon as I hear this from an American, I'm like, fuck you. Again with this. No, we don't have the world's fastest man, Andre DeGrasse. No, we don't know any. We're shitty in soccer. We just won the gold medal to women. No, we're a hockey nation still. It's fucking 2021, you dickwad. And he's going on about how Canada is such a hockey country, and maybe some hockey fans are being converted to tennis because of the way Shapovalov and others are playing. And I'm ready to just listening to this fucker go on and on, a load of horse shit. Because a couple days earlier, I'm listening to this guy, Mark Tessier, talk about the Canadian players and the Canadian angle. That's what I expect, I'm sorry, from TSN. Really, if you're going to show Canadian matches, put the Canadian commentators on. Say to Mark Tessier, Mark, you're doing this match, even though it's from the studios. You're doing this match because we want Canadian content. But instead, they click onto the tennis channel's feed. Now, these two yutzes, I mean it was just awful to listen to it. You can be from Canada, and you know what? You can enjoy hockey and tennis, you moron. You can. We get so many people, Mike, that are like, "Oh, I'm not a hockey fan. I'm a basketball fan." Dude, you can be both. You can be just as passionate about both. Guess what? You can be just as passionate about every sport like I am and have been for my whole life.
And I would say
when someone
most
says,
people,
"What's your favorite sport?" I don't have an answer for you, man. Give me a great game and a rooting interest. I'll watch.
Right.
Got it? So TSN, that's 2 against you guys. You're going to show us U.S. Open stuff? Do us a favor. Give us a Canadian angle, please. You've got Mark Rowe there. He's already there. You got Mark Tessier, who does a terrific job when called upon. Let them do all the Canadian matches. Ooh. And if you're going to replace them with the top team from ESPN. The big guys. Chris Fowler, the McEnroe brothers. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not these idiots from fucking Tennis Channel.
I like it when you call them yutzes.
He's going to convert from hockey fans into tennis in Canada. Fuck off. Instead, you're showing cutaway shots of fans carrying beers and cocktails to their seats and being ridiculed and shamed. Let's take a look in the stands and see who's there. And every time they do it, I go, who is that? Is that a record producer? Should I know that person? You ever do that, Mike?
Is that Rick Rubin?
Yeah, when they show people in the stands, do you not automatically go, who is that? Am I supposed to know who that person is?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
I hate that. Let's go to golf now. Patrick Cantlay leads the Tour Championship after the opening rounds thanks to a 3-under par 67 yesterday. Started the day at 10-under par thanks to the unique scoring system for the FedEx Cup, which I won't get into. Just trust me. He's now at 13-under par. John Rahm close behind at 11-under. By the way, there's actually odds out there as to whether John Rahm will get COVID again. He's already twice had it.
Maybe he should get vaccinated.
And there's a bet going. Like, you can make a bet.
Well, Humble Howard.
I'm pretty sure Bodog takes action on this, or somebody.
Bodog.
That you can bet as to whether he will get COVID again.
Bodog should sponsor this program, by the way. Hey, Howard Glassman was telling me that he says something like 50% of these golfers are not vaccinated. Like,
I believe that.
What's that about? Is that because they're so Republican? Like, is there a political stance? Like, because most golfers are Republican and most anti-vaxxers are also Republican.
I try not to get into that part of it.
But that's a hard to avoid.
I think
they're
ignorant, not stupid, just ignorant, just unaware or unwilling to learn. That's all.
And it's been politicized, so now they feel like they need to align with this political spectrum.
Exactly right.
Which is stupid.
So Bryson DeChambeau, speaking of not being vaccinated, and anyway, he's at 8-under par. Corey Connors, the only Canadian in the field, tied for 17th at 4-under. So DeChambeau has had other issues too on the tour this year. And I thought it was very interesting. Some great comments from Patrick Cantlay the other day when talking about it. He basically said that if you're going to attract attention, you have to be aware that some of that attention is not going to be good attention on you. And so when Bryson DeChambeau pulls off some of the acts that he's done, that he's going to attract attention, yes, but he's going to get people that are against that type of behavior. And so one of the big issues on the tour this year is his rivalry with Brooks Koepka. It's gotten so heated that fans have been yelling at DeChambeau, Brooksie! Hey, Brooksie! Whenever he takes a swing. And DeChambeau has called out a couple of these fans and engaged with them, which of course makes drunken fans even more likely to call out Brooksie. So here's what happened. The PGA Tour announced that they will not tolerate this kind of behavior from fans anymore. There will be expulsion. I don't think you can press criminal charges, can you? But you can certainly
boot
evict them from the premises.
And you can ban them from events.
And ban them, which is what they're doing. What do you think of this, Mike?
I think in the culture of this sport, golf, which is not like the NBA where you can go nuts when someone's taking a free throw or whatever, but in golf, you're not supposed to yell during somebody's, I don't even know, the drive? Is that a drive?
A backswing, yeah.
Okay.
While they're in their address position and about to hit the ball.
This is
it's
the
common
rule of
courtesy.
The sport.
It's respect for the athlete. It always has been. It's expected.
So I would think if a fan yells, whatever they yell, Brooksie or whatever they yell, during that backswing, it's fair.
Oh, this isn't during the backswing. This could be any time.
Oh,
he could have completed and went.
I thought it was like interfering with the drive. Okay,
just calling him Brooksie.
Okay, that's insane. Because that's not a
the one in the backswing,
racial slur or a homophobic.
If you said anything in the backswing,
right,
every other golf patron would go after that person and kick the shit out of him.
I thought you were talking about that. I thought so. Okay, so now that I'm on the same page and I've caught up, that's insane because it's not a racial slur or an ethnic slur or a homophobic slur. Brooksie should be fair game. That's just part of sport. You can yell Brooksie as long as it's not in the backswing. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, it's not a slur.
No.
Your mother wears army boots. That would be unacceptable.
Sure.
But calling him another nickname. Okay.
Brooksie's okay with me.
All right. The PGA Tour announced that they have made a deal with Netflix to produce and air a behind-the-scenes show similar to F1 Drive to Survive, that incredibly successful series that had people who knew nothing about auto racing glued to their televisions. It was tremendously successful. I mean, I love Formula One racing. I love it even more now when I saw that series. So it's a fantastic idea, and I would love to see the behind-the-scenes stuff with Brooksie and with DeChambeau, and if Tiger was part of it, whatever. I'm sure it's some great drama. But here's something: as soon as it was announced, the folks that follow and cover pro tennis immediately said, "Tennis, get into this. Make a deal with Netflix. We need to see behind-the-scenes stuff. We need to bring the personalities out because pretty soon we're not going to be able to see Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal ever again. So let's go."
Right.
And I agree. Tennis needs something like this, is dying for something like this. Open up the doors. Let's see what goes on behind the scenes with these people. What do they do all day? What are they like on the practice courts? With golf, with tennis, with all these sports. Hockey did it a few years ago. HBO did remember the series? I can't remember what it was called.
Ovechkin versus Crosby. It was for that outdoor game or something, and they did.
Well, no, there were other ones.
But that was the first one. And I remember, or maybe it was Detroit. I can't remember now. But I do remember loving that HBO series. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. Fantastic. Okay, so that would be great. I would love to see the PGA stuff. I think would be fantastic. Fantastic. And speaking of golf, I'm playing on Sunday with my 2 sons and my girlfriend. We're going out to Crosswinds.
Nice.
Always a good time out there. And just so relaxing. There's just been a lot going on, school's starting again. People are, getting geared up for maybe the first, session of non-pandemic activity. Because most people are going back to work. If you're, some are staying at home, I guess. A lot of people are going back to school. The roads are clogged. It's like it was pre-pandemic.
Right.
And it's just going to be great to be able to hang out with my sons and my girlfriend and play at Crosswinds. Beautiful views there, Mount Nemo, Rattlesnake Point. People are so nice. And it's just a great experience whenever we go.
Like when you're in that environment at Crosswinds and you've got your girlfriend with you and you got your 2 boys, do you take a moment, take a deep breath and just realize how lucky, what a blessed man you are. Like what a life.
Completely.
That's everything, right?
Phones are turned off. There's no distractions. And it's funny. And you don't think of it when you're not there. You don't think, I can't see myself walking along the fairway, looking up and going, isn't this beautiful? Wow. How maudlin is that? But when you're actually in the moment, you're going, okay, I just made a triple bogey, but what a beautiful day.
Wow.
What a great day. This could not be better.
Beautiful.
And I tell you, in a million, I would rather shoot 100 and be with people that I enjoy their company on a beautiful setting than shoot 80, with not have engaging partners, and the weather was crummy or whatever it was. And, oh, but I shot 80. Yeah, big deal. Would you have fun? Well, I shot 80. Yeah, but you have fun. You have a great day. And at Crosswinds, always a great day. So go to crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time online, tell them Hebsy sent you. And if you want, you can recount the story that I just told you.
Would you golf with your barber?
No. Can't believe that. But again, I guess from his standpoint, it was like, well, why should I lose business by telling them I'm not vaccinated? Why would they be mad at me for not being vaccinated?
I don't think there's any rule. He's right.
Why should anyone be mad?
He's not obligated to disclose.
Correct.
You're in your right to ask. Of course, you can ask anybody anything, but he doesn't have. There's no rule that says you need to disclose to your clients 100%. That you're not vaccinated.
The nurse that gave me the jab, was she vaccinated? I hope so. I expected so. I assumed so. My doctor and all the people that work in the doctor's office, dentist's office, I'm assuming that they've been vaccinated because they're asking me if I've been vaccinated.
Yeah, you should ask your hygienist next time. That's important.
May not be going back to that dentist if they keep treating me that way.
That was a great story.
You know, Mike, I watched our Canadian women knock off the U.S. in the gold medal game for the World Hockey Championships the other night, but something was missing other than fans in the stands. Something was missing.
What?
The intensity level is certainly there, but it doesn't match. I'm not going to say it doesn't match the intensity level of men, but it doesn't match the intensity level of the men's game. Do you know what I mean?
No, I need more elaboration.
Canada plays the U.S., U.S. plays Canada. These are the games we want. These are the games that have the most intensity.
Yes.
But you can't go to the well every time, Canada, U.S., Canada, U.S. There's got to be something more. There has to be a lead up, but there isn't.
No.
When we play other nations, it's not the same.
Right.
It's Canada, U.S. And I told you before I couldn't get up for the preliminary round games, the round robin.
Right.
But let me know when they play for the gold.
Right.
Sort of a given. But I realized that when they went to overtime, 3-on-3 overtime in the gold medal game.
But it wasn't 3-on-3.
Excuse me?
Was that 3? I watched that game. It wasn't it? It was 5-on-5, wasn't it?
Hello?
Was it 3-on-3?
Let me go on.
Okay.
When the NHLers play 3-on-3, they're looking for a goal fast. Right. When they play 3-on-3, the women, they're very calculated. There's not a lot of scoring chances. They're looking for something else. They're weaving. They're playing chess. They're taking their time. You're 5 minutes into a 3-on-3 in a gold medal game. If it was the men, it would be wide open, man. It would be flying all over. Chances galore. Great save.
Sure.
But with the women, it's very calculating and slow and deliberate, and just wasn't there for me. So, you know, I agree that women should have the same opportunities as men. I think it would be wonderful if they could organize a professional women's hockey league. But frankly, I don't think there's enough of an appetite either in Canada or the U.S. for women's professional hockey. Unless you can put bums in the seats, unless you can put a competitive enough product and an entertaining enough product on the ice that puts bums in the seats and has television executives going, yes, we want to do this. It's not going to happen. And the same goes for women's professional soccer, and the same goes for women's professional basketball, unless the WNBA is going to put a team in Toronto. So I don't want to hear any more of this. Canada, U.S. for the gold, great. Every 2 years or 4 years or whatever, great. Other than that, wake me up when that happens.
I'm embarrassed. I didn't even know that was 3-on-3, but that actually speaks to your point, which is that you can't miss NHL when it's 3-on-3 because it's a whole different game. But the women's game wasn't radically different because you don't have those odd person, I almost said odd man rushes, but I guess odd person rushes off.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
It's weird to hear defensemen. It's hard to get that out of your lexicon, out of your vocabulary, because it's women. It's just,
sure.
And even the women commentators.
Well, that's their term. They still use that term. I noticed they didn't change it. Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
but
anyway,
do we know yet how many eyeballs on that? Because I watched the end of the third period and then I watched the overtime.
Oh, I'm sure there were lots, but again, it's a one-off. Is it consistent? Are these people that are watching the game? When's the next game? When's the league game? When does Toronto play Montreal? When do I get to see? And the other thing is, the women's game is hampered more because we see them with their helmets and the full bird cage on, but we don't know what most of them look like in street clothes.
Sure. You know, you
and
only
it's
a few.
harder
Like
to market
Spooner,
that.
you
And
know,
I don't know
a
what
few.
teams they
Right.
played for. What was the name of the team that played in Toronto? Remember, and they've got two complete seasons where they played before zero fans.
I think you're 100% right that gold medal match between Canada US, which will happen whatever every 2 or 4 years or whatever, that brings that attracts all the eyeballs, and that's everybody watches that, and the rest of it is sort of like you can just sort of like you can take a pass on unless you're like related or know somebody in the team. I just want to make a comment. Normally you're the watchdog for Canadian media, but I noticed watching that because the goal went in and they kept playing, right? And then they review it. This is the overtime goal by Poulin. And then I guess at some point they reviewed it and said, oh, that's a goal. And then they blow the buzzer. So it was kind of that weird kind of delayed celebration. And I know they showed the goal a couple of times, but where was that shot of the puck definitively over the line? All I said to Monica, and I meant this, that is if US had scored that same goal, I'd be yelling at the TV, like, prove to me that's over the line. I never saw like that slow motion. I watched for like half an hour after the game. They never did show, in the NHL, they would show that moment of the camera showing, here is the definitive proof that this puck is over the line. I still haven't seen it.
Right.
Like, are you 100% sure that was a goal?
I have to believe them.
I know, but why can't we see it?
Looked at it, and then hit the buzzer while the game was still going on to say
it's ding ding, and then I guess it drops down over the line.
That was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was the weirdest goal, and I'm still not sure it was in. But if it was the other way around, I'd be mad. Like, I feel like the U.S. fans. If I'm a U.S. player, I'd be screaming like, I want to see that was a goal before this gold medal celebration.
Do we get the same satisfaction out of beating the Americans because we hadn't won in so many years? You see, this is the other thing. It was like they had won all these women's world championships. We're winning gold medals in the Olympics, but there's women's world championships, which are every year now. So winning the Olympic gold every 4 years is a much bigger deal than winning the women's championships. I think the world championships, right? I just do. It's every year.
I agree.
Okay, next year we'll get them.
Right.
So we had, there was a drought in the world championships, but the same women's team are the ones competing for the Olympics, right?
Yes.
And the Three Nations Cup, right?
Right.
And it just seems to me that it's Canada, US hockey. Let's go. Did they not have a series last year or 2 years ago where they played each other like 100 times?
Yeah, I think so.
During the NHL All-Star break it was like a tour.
Right.
Like the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals are going on tour. It's like wrestling. They're going to be in your town next week. Come see Canada, US, women's hockey. The rivalry continues. That's kind of the way it is with me. It's hard for me to look at a women's hockey team, and I don't know what team, where, and say, hey, she's Canadian. She's American. Like we do it with the Leafs. Where do we care that Austin Matthews is from the United States? Makes no difference.
Right.
He's a Leaf.
Right.
But it's different now because we're used to seeing all the Canadian women against the American women. We know all of them, right? And we know that they wear the Stars and Stripes and they wear the Maple Leaf. But to see them in club uniforms, I don't know. It's weird. Okay, finally, New York Mets general manager Zach Scott was arrested for DUI. That's driving under the influence. It's called DWI in some jurisdictions, driving while intoxicated. But anyway, drunk driving. He's been placed on administrative leave by the club. Now, Scott fell asleep at the wheel of his vehicle in suburban White Plains, New York, after a charity event the other night. He's pleaded not guilty to the charges. He was hired by the Mets as senior vice president and assistant general manager in December to work under his close friend and former colleague, Jared Porter. Scott was promoted to acting GM in January, 8 days after Porter was fired by the Mets following revelations that he sent sexually explicit, uninvited text messages and images to a female reporter. This is the Mets, the New York Mets.
Right.
This is a gong show of an organization. And just to show you how bad the Mets are in the wake of all this nonsense, and the fact that recently, when Mets fans booed the players, Javi Baez, when he got a hit, booed the Mets fans by turning thumbs down. And other Mets players were turning thumbs down on the fans, turning the tables, as it were, on the Mets fans. Ridiculous. Idiotic. But here's the best part. These Mets, these New York Mets of 2021, have a plethora of ex-Blue Jays to thank. Do you know how many ex-Blue Jays wore the Mets uniform this year?
No, but I bet you do.
I do. And thanks to Scott Carson, the fantastic encyclopedic producer of Stats Guru for Sportsnet Blue Jays baseball. Here they are. Brandon Drury, Jonathan VR, Billy McKinney, Kevin Pillar, Marcus Stroman, Aaron Loop, Miguel Castro, Taiwan Walker, Yensi Diaz, Sean Reed Foley, Jacob Barnes. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Mets acting GM Sandy Alderson said, hey, Brad Hand is available. He was a Blue Jay for a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And so he claimed him off waivers. So there's another Blue Jay that's going to play for the Mets. What a disastrous organization. They're 66 and 67 this year, 5 games out of a wild card spot. The drama surrounding the injuries of Jacob deGrom, Syndergaard. Oh my God, this team. They spend millions and millions and they got nothing to show for it. They signed Lindor to this massive free agent contract. He's been a bust. You think you got problems as a Blue Jay fan? Imagine being a Mets fan. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So just be thankful you're a Jays fan and you got a chance. Let's sweep the A's this weekend. Let's get her going. Giddy up. That's it for episode 248 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike. And thanks to Crosswinds Golf and Country Club for their continued support. We love it there, and you will too. Go to crosswinds.com, book your tee time online, and tell them Hebsy sent you. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another episode next week. Until then, so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.
Shout out to Hebsy's barber. All right. Good stuff, buddy. Let me turn off the cameras. Hey, everybody. See you next Friday.
Thank you, everybody.
Hebsy,
What?
you're live in the backyard next Friday.
Yeah.
I know, but we didn't tell people. Okay, but that's exciting. You'll be in person. That'll be a whole different vibe. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, hopefully the weather will be okay. I'll bike over there.
Amazing. Okay.
I'll take public transit.
So everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, follow. Yeah, come back next week and see Hebsy in the flesh. It'll be exciting. Peace.
In the flesh.